I often get asked how I'm able to do so many different things as a mom of 4 young kids, homeschooling and managing special needs, so I thought I would do a series that answers that. The first part in that series is how I created a routine for our family. So today I'm going to walk you through how I created our family routine.
Could swear it's been 700 degrees in here since you came in. I could swear that this room has been running out of air, and now it's starting to...
When I first started creating a routine, I really just started with what we already did. I wrote down the times that my kids typically woke up from naps and from bedtime. I wrote down the times that we typically ate dinner or breakfast, lunch, had snacks, and I just started there. For our family, meal times and rest times are our anchor points throughout the day. If nothing else, those are generally the same most days. So for the most part, our day looks like at 6:30 in the morning, I would wake up, or at least I would ideally. It doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. At 7:30 a.m., my kids' clocks, their okay to wake clocks, turn green, so they can get up from bed. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, we have breakfast. Around 10:30 a.m., we have snack time. Around 12 p.m., we have lunch. 1:30, we do nap time. 3:30, our nap time ends and they can come out for snack. 5:30, we have supper. And 7:30, we do bedtime. I'll say this probably a lot of times throughout this, but these times are general. I don't have alarms set for every single thing. I do have a few alarms as reminders, but if we don't eat lunch at exactly 12 o'clock, the entire schedule is not doomed. This is more of a flow of the day and a general guideline. So I would suggest you just look at your days and see what times your kids typically wake up, what time you eat meals. Just start with things that you are already naturally doing, so it's not quite as difficult to get into a habit. Once I had my anchor points anchored, I started to fill in the gaps. I had to decide what I wanted to prioritize, and that changes from time to time depending on what our family needs are. Right now, we are needing to prioritize school for my oldest and therapies for my daughter and my youngest. So I kind of thought about the flow of our day and when these things would best fit in. And that can be trial and error. And it definitely was for me. We've changed things around a good bit. In the beginning, I had tried to get all of our school done in the mornings, but it was too hard for my 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old Will to focus with all the other stuff going on with the other kids. So I decided to move our school to the beginning of nap time. So once I filled in the priorities, my schedule looked more like 6:30, me waking up, 7:30, the kids getting up, 8 o'clock, we're doing breakfast, 10:30, we did snack time in our morning time, 12 o'clock, we had lunch, 1:30, we did nap time, and my oldest did school. 3:30, we did nap time ended, and we did snack time. And at 5:30, we had supper, and 7:30 was bedtime. The hardest thing for me to fit into our schedules has been appointments and therapies. When we only had the typical yearly well visits, that wasn't really very hard. Mondays were just our appointment days and we did school Tuesday through Friday. But now we have multiple therapies a week and that's just not possible anymore. It can also be really difficult because therapists only have so much availability and it can be really hard to mesh our two schedules. I spent a really long time just bending over backwards trying to accommodate the therapist schedules, but it was making our life so hard to do school and run errands and do nap times and all of those things. It wasn't good for the rest of the family, and the kids that needed therapy were just tired and not doing well in therapy because they weren't getting their naps. So I told our therapist that we needed a new time slot. I told her the times that would work for us and gave her a few options, and then they would pick which one of those worked for them. That did take a little bit of time and some patience because we would have to wait for some of those time slots to become available, but eventually it did work out and we were able to get time slots we wanted. So now our schedules look like Monday at 1:15, Matthew has physical therapy. Tuesdays at 9:30 in the morning, Nora has speech. Wednesdays at 11:30, Matthew has occupational therapy for feeding therapy. And then Friday at 12 p.m., Matthew has occupational therapy for feeding therapy again. Sometimes these change depending on what's happening. Sometimes we add in an extra therapy, usually for feeding therapy for Matthew. Sometimes we'll have 3 a week, and I just kind of have to add those in. Those aren't as difficult because they happen over meal times, but we do still have to be a little bit flexible, but it's so much easier having these times that we got to pick. It just took some patience for those to come available. Once I had all the priorities scheduled, I had to start penciling in my luxuries. Cleaning is a luxury for me, and sometimes exercise can be too, but I'm trying to work on that. Once my anchor points were anchored and my priorities were scheduled, I started looking at the remaining time frames and filled those in with the luxuries. Like, we usually go for a walk after breakfast as a family and before my husband's first meeting, so I added that in. I added in an hour-long chore block after our walk too. That chore block is when the kids usually put away their laundry or do whatever chores that I have assigned them. It's also when I look at my to-do list and see what I can get done. I usually start a load of laundry before I've even started breakfast, so I don't usually do laundry at this point. Might clean a toilet, wash fingerprints off the wall, vacuum, work on sourdough, all of the usual things. I have a timer set on my watch and it goes off at 10:25. That's one of the few timers that I use because I don't like being strict with the times that things are happening. But this one helps to keep our morning going on track. So once the timer goes off, I know that I need to wrap up whatever chore it is that I'm doing and start getting ready for snack and morning time. Morning time really only lasts for 15 to 20 minutes, so once we're finished with that, we have been going outside to play. That time kind of changes depending on the weather. In the summer, we don't go out unless it's early in the morning or later in the evening. But in the winter or in the fall, we can do that more in the middle of the day. So we'll go out front and I do my workout then, and while the kids are riding their bikes or playing with chalk. And then I have another cleaning block after the kids get out of nap time. I don't typically clean during nap time because that's when I rest, or I might work on the blog or something like that too. And then around 4:30, I start prepping supper so that we're ready to eat around 5:30. After the kids are in bed, Ryan and I will do one final cleanup of the kitchen, maybe fold a load of laundry, and then we relax. So at this point, my schedule looks like 6:30 a.m. I wake up, ideally. 7:30 a.m. my kids' clock turns green. 8 a.m. we have breakfast. 8:30 a.m. we go for a family walk. Around 9:45 a.m. we do chores. 10:30 a.m. we have snack time and morning time. 11 a.m. we go outside and I do my workout. 12 p.m. we have lunch. 1:30 p.m. we do nap time and school for my oldest. 3:30 p.m. nap time ends, we have snack time, and I do some of my chores. 4:30 p.m. I start prepping supper, and 5:30 p.m. we eat supper. 7:30 we do bedtime, and 8:30 p.m. Ryan and I get to relax. As I mentioned before, I hold this schedule very, very loosely. It's almost laughable to put times to this with how loose I hold this schedule. Some days we don't go for a family walk at all. Some days I don't do any chores and we just go to the park instead. Some days my workout moves to nap time or after the kids are in bed. My schedule also didn't appear overnight. It has been evolving since I became a mom almost 7 years ago, and I actually had a friend that said, "No, Julie, the schedule was evolving like before you got married," which she's not wrong. When I only have one baby and Ryan and I were both working full time, our routine looked very different. When I had 2 kids and was a stay-at-home mom, my routine looked different. My routine looked different even a year ago, and I am sure next year it will look different again. This has been a long process, so don't be discouraged if you don't have this beautiful, well-oiled routine right now. And to be honest, I don't have a well-oiled routine. This changes sometimes moment by moment. I scrap the whole routine and we just fly by the seat of our pants because the baby is cranky and everybody is tired, nobody slept well, and we just need to do something different. And that's okay. That is the beauty of a routine and of being an adult, is I get to decide, this isn't working today. Let's do something different. And that's fine. Nothing crumbles to the ground if we decide to scrap the routine. So, it takes a lot of tweaking and it takes a lot of time to develop. And one of the amazing things is that you can change it if it's not serving your family. So if you don't already have a routine in place, I really encourage you to create one. It doesn't have to be as detailed as mine, but if you're struggling with getting things done, it really does help to carve out specific time blocks so everything has its dedicated space in your day to get addressed. You might not get everything done on your to-do list. You might have to spread it out over a few days, but at least you know that you'll have a time block for chores today. You'll also have a time block for homeschooling your kids, and you'll also have those time blocks tomorrow. So whatever you don't get done today, you can get done tomorrow. So the 3 things that I want you to take away for creating a routine are: number 1, start with what you already do. Number 2, decide what your priorities are and then add those to your routine. Then worry about your luxuries. Number 3, and this is possibly the most important takeaway, this takes time and it is meant to be changed. If it's not working for you, change it. I hope and pray that this was helpful and encouraging to you and maybe gave you a good jumping off point for creating a routine for your family. Feel free to leave a comment with any tips or questions or anything else that you have. I would love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on part 2, where I talk about how I manage my to-do list and my daily tasks and about the basically homemade planner that I made to deal with those. You're also welcome to follow us on Instagram, and I will put our handle up at the top of the video. We look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.